Good evening, I'm Sarah Seidner in New York, in for Abby Phillip. Let's get straight to what Americans are talking about, Donald Trump's national address. Tonight, the president spoke directly to Americans. One thing was clear, he was forcefully trying to control the narrative on the first year of his second term. Everything from the economy and the border to wars and crime. And it didn't take him long to point fingers at who's to blame for anything that's wrong, beginning with his address this way.
11 months ago, I inherited a mess, and I'm fixing it. When I took office, inflation was the worst in 48 years, and some would say in the history of our country, which caused prices to be higher than ever before, making life unaffordable for millions and millions of Americans. This happened during a Democrat administration, and it's when we first began hearing the word affordability. This is what the Biden administration allowed to happen to our country, and it can never be allowed to happen again.
All right, we are going to get to the economy in just a bit. Then we're going to talk a lot about that. But first, let's just talk about the tone of how he put this address out and some of the things that he said, some of the claims he made. I'm going to start with you, Terry. How did you read this? It was quite forceful, and I guess the word might be also loud.
He was loud.
Exactly.
He was loud. He was forceful. He was fast. I mean, the networks only gave him 15 minutes, supposedly. And that is a problem for him because he likes to ramble. He likes to improvise. And he sounded like a man shouting at the nation that entire time. And more problematically for him is that when you try to tell people two things, the guy who's gone, it's still his fault. And two, it's not as bad as you think it is. I've done all these great things. The facts of people's own lives will refute you. I thought that was a huge mistake that he tried to say, I've done all this great stuff that's helping you, when the numbers show people think this economy is very bad for them personally, and he's shouting at them.
Arthur, you were cracking up when he said our country was dead. What does that even mean?
Look, I thought if you're a Trumpster, if you're someone who supports the president, I mean, he did exactly what you want, right? He talked about how bad the last one was and how good he is. Like, hey,
But he said he was going to fix it right away on day one.
So I'm a criminal defense attorney, and a lot of times the facts of my case are not really that great for my clients. So you have to figure out a way to tell those 12 jurors that something is maybe a little better or a little different than they actually see it as being. And let me pick some facts and show you why. Now, the gasoline thing, that is true. I mean, here in New York, the gas is definitely lower. The turkey thing, I'm sure the New York Times is fact checking you about how much the turkeys cost. So you take, I mean, it really was written by like a defense attorney. That's why I was laughing, is that you take those little things that are in your favor, you get really loud about them. Hopefully it's a good enough distraction, and you try to bury the fact that, well, yeah, the prosecutor has the DNA, the video, the audio, and everything else. So, I mean, and I got to tell you, I enjoyed it. I think it was a 15, whatever it was, 18 minutes of real Trumpism. And, I mean, I'm not saying I agreed with everything he said, but he accomplished what he needed to accomplish, which was, for the people who love him, he said what they wanted to hear.
Should I out you or should I not out you? You're dressed like a Christmas tree because you're big Christmas party. You didn't watch. You did not watch the speech. And by the way, I don't blame you for not watching the speech because unless you're getting paid to watch it, like we are, there is no reason why anybody should have wasted 18 minutes of their lives that they're not going to get back. It was an angry old man shouting from the hills, shouting at the kids to get off their lawn. It felt like when you're watching that Charlie Brown cartoon and the speeches are wah, wah, wah.
You know, there were people who loved
can I tell you something? You have heard the same thing. There was very little new stuff. You have heard him say the same stuff ad nauseum. I ended 8 wars. It's all Biden's fault. The Democrats made up the term affordability. It's not real. I'm the best. I'm the greatest. Make America. I mean, it's like.
But it made him the president.
I know. And by the way, and at the end, Merry Christmas to all. Really? Now we
To all a good night.
It was, but this was not the best Donald Trump we've seen. This is not the
Which
Donald.
is a low bar.
But yeah, but like he's a performer. He is. This was not a solid performance. This was like worse than an understudy, quite honestly. And it nobody was expecting empathy. But even his jabs were real weak. It was a weak left hook, and it did nothing for him. Now, my question is, how many people actually watched? Probably not a lot.
We'll find those.
We will
numbers
find out. But you know where it will go is that the parts where he's bashing Donald Trump, people will clip that are his base. But the parts
I mean, where he's
We're bashing
where
Biden.
he's Biden, well, he should be bashing himself, but where he's bashing Biden, people will clip that and it will play on right wing social media. But places where he's talking about things are so great, independents, people who might have been Obama, Trump, Biden, who moved around on the presidential election spectrum year to year, they will take that and say like, "Are you better off now than you were a year ago?" And I don't think anybody can 100% say the answer is yes.
Well, look, let me just, I know you got to go. But in terms of New York, with the whole migrant thing, my office is on the block of the Roosevelt Hotel. I lived it. I lived the mopeds. I lived the insanity.
But you
and
just
that's
said
all God.
you only had one Johnny Walker Black tonight. But that cost $25.
You know, I was at a party, so it's free.
It was free. I mean, you went to the bar, it was $25, $30.
That's affordability.
That's affordability.
That's affordability.
And that's what won the mayoral race in New York.
But he went off about migrants.
Yeah,
and he's right. And that has drastically changed in the city of New York, like night and day.
All right, I do want to just throw a couple of facts in here. Just 20% of Americans polled said that the country is going on the right track when it comes to inflation. 27% only said that it's on the right track when it comes to jobs. Lance, when you hear what the president said, it was almost as if he was speaking out of both sides of his mouth, because on the one hand, he was saying like, this is all Joe Biden's mouth. On the other hand, he was saying, it's good. Things are fine. Things are great.
Well, I think he had to do and remind voters of where he's come from where we were a year ago. Let's remember his Real Clear Politics polling average. Yes, people are cranky about some of these issues. His polling average still hovers around where he was when he was elected 1 year ago. That tells me there's a big chunk of this country that's still hanging on saying, okay, we're putting our faith in you. I view this speech as more, we can quibble over how he talked and all that stuff, but Americans are very well versed in how Donald Trump talks. They know he talks loud. They know he talks fast. They know he's from New York. They all know that. I think what we should be looking forward to is, what are the next steps? Where are we going from here? And that to me is what he outlined. It was more to me a speech of reassurance, because I think he wanted to say, hey, remember where we came from, and let me reassure you, because we have done things. And he has a lot to talk about. The One Big Beautiful Bill takes effect in January. If you look at the Democrats, taxes will be going up in January. My thing is, he needs to take this speech on the road. Vance needs to get on the road. They need to take this and push it all the way through the midterms, because that's the only way.
Yes, please take it on the road.
Yes.
Don't interrupt my prime time viewing on TV. I mean, this was a presidential address on prime time, right? Usually these things are done when monumental things have happened. There's a State of the Union address that's going to come up earlier in the next year where he can talk about all these things that he talked about tonight. Frankly, what I think is that he wants to distract the nation. He wants to change the narrative. He wants to change the tone. He's had a couple of very bad press cycles in the last few weeks. His inner circle is pictured in Vanity Fair looking like ghouls, and his chief of staff said the Venezuela stuff that's supposedly about drugs is about regime change.
Is anybody in Peoria, Illinois, paying attention to a Vanity Fair piece? No.
And do you think anybody in Peoria, Illinois is
no one's
watching
following
this?
any of that stuff. We at this table obsess over that stuff.
That he interrupted Golden Bachelor or whatever.
Look, I'm not a Bachelor fan personally, but look, I see nothing wrong with our president stepping out saying, hey, here's what's been going on over the last year. And by the way, he's had a lot.
The thing about it, though, is that Americans
That's the
know.
power of the presidency.
The American people know what's been going on because they go to the grocery store every week and they get less and they pay more. They know that they're not making any more money. They know they don't have jobs. They know rent is still too high. And they know they voted for somebody that made a lot of promises. Now, I've seen this movie play out before because I lived it last year. Stop trying to convince yourself that he has time. I'm like actually saying this to you as a favor, as a Democrat that was like, Americans, buy it. They don't. Americans are smart. They live it. They don't need an address to tell them what to think and what to
and
feel.
it won't be J.D. Vance speeches or Donald Trump speeches at any rate that will turn that around. It will be results. The numbers that Sarah just mentioned are not because they're not giving out speeches. It's because those things are true. Groceries are going higher. and
Yeah,
now
look, I got it. You're not going to win it by speeches, but you've got to get out there and make your case and make your sale. Now, look, a lot of things have to happen in the next year. The Fed came out when they cut interest rates last week, but they said the economy is on the way up. So look, there's a lot that has to happen. I'm not arguing with you on that, but I'm just saying there's nothing wrong with a president coming out and making his case to the American people.
Well, I would say that previously the networks would not have carried such a nakedly political speech.
Oh, that's
Turned
I
down
mean,
Obama,
And the question
I
is,
don't know.
and
the
then
question is,
genuflecting to Trump
will
again.
they carry, if he tries this stunt again, will they carry it then? Look, I'm just happy he got through 18 minutes of speech without bashing Rob Reiner.
What's interesting to me, Terry, and I'm learning about your industry, like in real time. Like I didn't realize that the networks tell the president of the United States how much time you get. We're only going to give you 12 minutes. We're only going to give you 15 minutes.
That's right, but that's
They
business.
denied Obama. I'm like,
They did.
I didn't know these things. That's like, wow.
The president requests the time, the private company, and the networks have a sense of civic duty, supposedly. And previously they said, no, we aren't going to give you the time because it's purely political. We'll give it to you as a president, but not as a politician.
Yeah, the only thing I'll just say is like I hear January is coming. Well, when I open my health insurance, January is coming in. I'm getting charged $200 more for my health insurance. That also is coming in January if Congress doesn't do something. So I think this hope and relief is coming. You better hope so, because if not, it's not even. I want to actually just remove it from the political landscape. People are really, really suffering right now and really not knowing how they're gonna, especially around the holiday season. Forget about $30. They're like, can I pay the heat? It was 18 degrees in New York.
I want your health
listen,
insurance.
I'm not
Yours
disagreeing
went up to
actually.
100, mine went up 1,000.
I'm
I'm like, hell, I lost
Thank
all
you,
this weight,
Obamacare, doing
and
such a
I'm
great job for all of us.
I'm playing a nickel
We're
ball,
going to
and I'm
get to
paying this
healthcare.
much.
We're going to get to the economy and healthcare.
What about the
coming up?
reduction in crime?
We'll get to all of
There's
it
been
coming up.
national reduction in crime.
All right. Put a pause on all that because most of his speech addressed his economy, which has been unpopular, and he made many dubious claims. Another special guest is going to join the table for that. Plus, healthcare prices are set to skyrocket now for millions of Americans after the House rejected a bill to extend Obamacare subsidies. And many Republicans are ticked at Mike Johnson. Why? Those stories are ahead.